far so good this week. How about you?
Pretty good as well. Can't complain.
Okay.
Let me just pull up
Honestly,
this.
it's almost the best week this year, I would say,
The best week so
so
far,
far.
huh?
Yeah,
Well,
a
that's
lot of
that's good to hear.
positive things happening, and yeah,
That's good. That's good. I'm also staying productive, making progress, and that sort of stuff. Keeping up with my New Year's resolutions. Did you make any New Year's resolutions?
yeah. As every year.
And have you been keeping up with them, or have you?
Yeah, most of them are like under control. I treat them as like 12 weeks goals. I don't have like New Year's resolution, but I'm treating like every 12 weeks as a kind of year. Uh, there
Every
was a
12
book.
weeks.
Yeah, it was a book called probably 12 Weeks Year, something like that. That's the Polish title, but I'm not sure what's the English one is. But uh, the major idea behind that book is that to treat every 12 months, 12 weeks as a period to like define your goals and trying to stick to them.
Interesting.
So
What's the reasoning behind it? Why it should be 12 years, 12 weeks rather than a year?
because you've got like 52 weeks in a year,
Yeah.
in that way you can have 12 weeks period split it by a single week of like holidays or something like this, and it's much more easier to have it under control if the time limit is a little bit shorter,
Mm-hmm.
and you get like instant feedback if you are like going in the right direction or not, and it push you to define like a little bit smaller goals, not so mm, like no crazy thing, but a list of specified things that you need to do.
Yeah, yeah. Makes sense. I think it works because it puts the time frame into something that's more understandable for the human mind. Like a year is a concept that we understand, but we can't really conceptualize it.
Hmm. Exactly.
So have we done
Fully
this
agree.
lesson on minimalism?
Yes, we did, I believe, like 2 weeks ago.
We did.
And the last one was digitalization, and I think the previous one was the minimalist.
We did one on minimalism? Let me check. Cryptocurrency. Yes, we did do it. Okay. In that
Yeah, so three
case, yeah, in
three
that
weeks
case,
ago.
would you like to do one on. Actually, let's just do this one on public speaking.
Yeah.
I think it's a good topic. I recently started giving public speaking workshops here in the city. So I made a lesson on it. Figured it was relevant.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you often do like public speaking? Do you speak in public or anything like that?
Yeah, I would say so. It's part of my work,
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't call myself like a keynote speaker, but sometimes on like conferences in the fintech industry or like project management or remote management, sometimes I do some public speaking. This week I had a chance to give it was a short speech, but that was one of the positive thing about this week. We had a visit from President of Iceland in Warsaw.
Yeah.
He came to visit the Meniga office. This is the only Icelandic company that is running in Poland. So basically he came to visit us, and then he have a meeting with our president. But basically he started from our office.
Mm-hmm.
So it was short. It was like 1 hour visit, but it's like uh, I would say he is like pretty open-minded, easygoing, very friendly and cordial person.
Mm-hmm.
But due to the Polish secret service that make this event so important, and the entire visit was under real strict control. The
Really?
importance of that, yeah, really, man, it was the escort was like 10 people, 10 agents, and it was like 7 cars.
Wow.
Basically, they've come to our office at 6 a.m. with the sniffing dogs.
Mm-hmm.
They have made the personal check on everybody. They closed all of us in a single room, and we were able to exit after the personal check. The sniffing dogs. Before, prior to the visit, like 2 days, we were unable to do any kind of changes in the office.
No way. That's crazy.
No way. That was crazy. And the guy was like, when I contacted my friends in Iceland, they told me that he's a normal guy. He takes a bike to work.
Yeah.
He uses public transport.
Yeah.
There is one police car in front of his house during the off-peak hours, and that's it. He can be met at supermarket, at cinema, and our secret service made it like it was Trump or somebody like that. Really.
Yeah, I guess when some foreign president is, I guess, in your country, they don't want to, I don't know,
Anything bad to happen.
they don't want to leave any loose ends.
Exactly, yeah.
So
So yeah, I've prepared a short speech, like 12 minutes. Yeah, the point was to have it under 12 minutes. So the speech was designed for 10 minutes, of course. It was mostly about like the fintech industry, our application, which he already knew because he uses it, and his wife uses it as well. So basically, yeah, and a little
Interesting.
bit of like collaboration between the Polish and Icelandic office.
Interesting.
So
you have experience with public speaking, and
yeah.
so would you say that you're pretty good at it?
Yeah, I'm chasing the excellence, I would say.
Okay,
Really,
I guess, but at the moment, would you say that
No,
you're pretty good?
I would say there are still area to improve.
Mm-hmm.
But at least there I identify. I know what to work on, what should I focus on, and what are my strengths about the public speaking. Also,
Do you do the presentations in English mostly, or Polish, or?
I would say it's mixed. Depends on the audience.
Yeah.
But the preparation is my strongest point.
Interesting.
If I have time to prepare, the language is I would say it's not the biggest problem.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's much more difficult for me to prepare something in English because most of the time I spend on trying to come up with some nice sentences, nice structure, finding some simple words that could be understood by everybody,
Yeah.
and to make it sound natural. So basically, it takes more time. But the moment I'm on scene, I don't see much difference. At least to a point where there's like time for questions.
Mm-hmm.
Then of course it's easier for me to respond in Polish, but still I'm somehow
So
manage.
if you have time to prepare, the language doesn't affect it. But if you don't, and if you have to think on the spot, it's probably more difficult in English.
Yeah, of course.
Interesting. And do you think it's harder to do a presentation that is like 1 minute long as opposed to one that's 5 or 10 minutes long? Like, are shorter presentations more difficult than longer ones?
The rule is that the shorter, the more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not personally agree with that because, as I said, the preparation is my strongest point. of public speaking. So yeah, for me, the longer presentations are much more like time consuming, effort consuming, and like more difficult in general.
Interesting. I agree with what you said earlier about the shorter ones being more difficult, but I think it also depends on what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into the lesson. So, reading.
Public speaking is an essential skill in business. Some people love getting on stage, while others loathe the idea of speaking in front of a crowd. In fact, Psychology Today reports that public speaking is often the number one fear, ranking even higher than death. But public speaking is a good thing for any entrepreneur as aspiring entrepreneur or aspiring
Yeah.
entrepreneur.
It's a good thing for any entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur.
Good, yeah.
If your role as business founder, you will undoubtedly come into opportunities to speak to groups big and small. Follow along to learn how public speaking skills help you in your career as an entrepreneur.
Good. Any questions on this?
No.
All right. So next we have some vocabulary.
Yeah, essential, absolutely necessary, extremely important, loathe, feel intense dislike or disgust for, aspiring, directing one's hopes or ambitions towards becoming a specified type of person, undoubtedly,
Good.
without doubt, certainly, craft, exercise, skill in making an object, typically by hand.
Good. Okay. No questions on that, right?
No.
All right. Reading. Go ahead.
Adult students may need to use public speaking skills in the professional world, especially if they are working in a business setting. In fact, many adult ESL students enroll in classes because they are required to conduct business meetings in English, and being able to speak confidently and fluently could lead to greater career opportunities.
Very good.
The ESL stands for
English as a second language.
Okay.
Other questions?
No.
All right. So we got some questions for you. Go ahead.
Where does public speaking rank in terms of people's fears? Yeah, it's stated in the article. It's top
Yeah.
2. It's either deaf or public speaking.
Yeah. So it's above death. Yeah, very good. That's just to make sure you're paying attention to the reading. Next one.
How often do you put yourself in uncomfortable situations? How often? Yeah, sometimes I push myself to stay out of the comfort zone, but that's mostly about CrossFit and sports. Any work-related activities? Yes, sometimes I take up some initiatives, some activities, or like some mini projects that I don't have a clue about. For example, like HR initiatives or something like this, like the areas that I would like to develop, and I couldn't really find a place and space and opportunity for that unless I volunteer to do that. And usually I'm not the first person that is qualified for that, but yeah, so I would say maybe not so often, but I also do not try to avoid it at all costs.
So like on a weekly basis, how many times per week would you say you do something like that?
Twice, maybe 3 times. I mean, if we are talking about practice, CrossFit practice and training, it's like every day. because these days most of the time I'm working with a partner. So yeah, it's to the end, I would say. We're really trying to compete with each other. We are
Mm-hmm.
on very, very same, any other word for same, like
Equal.
similar, yeah, very equal level. So like every training unit is a competition.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I'm really close to throw up after some parts of the training.
Close to throwing
Uh,
up.
Throwing up, yeah. And yeah, and in the office, yeah, I would say the this week's speech was something a little bit uncomfortable. Uh, and this week, I also decided to be a part of a happy office team.
Happy office team. Was your
Happy.
office not happy before?
No, we just changed the office like 3 weeks ago,
Okay.
and that was one of the reasons for the Icelandic president to come, like to inaugurate the office. Yeah, is it the word?
Yeah.
Like to officially open it.
Uh-huh.
So cutting the red band,
Yeah, to cut the
uh,
ribbon.
to cut the ribbon. Yeah, so something like this. Uh, and yeah, in order to make everybody happy to work in that office, we created like a unit that would gather the ideas, recommendations, what can be improved, what can be changed, and
And you
yeah.
guys just started this week?
This week, yeah. For example, what kind of milk, coffee, or tea to order next week, and this kind of stuff. But it was like fully voluntary.
So what
Mm,
kind of solutions did this team come up with to make the office happier?
for example, we next week we are going to start segregating trash.
Oh, so recycling and stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
we will receive a lot of like a wide variety of coffees, milk, and teas. For example, mm, one of the guys uh, hmm, bought some like microprocessors that can be programmed, like a small devices that you can program,
Yeah.
and he is going to create like how to explain it. There will be a button, 3 buttons on the wall, because we have like 3 catering services during a day between like 9 and noon. 3 different companies.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's trying to do is to connect one of those 3 buttons to notifications on Slack. So every time, like Mr. Schlimak, for example, will come with the food, he will press the button, and everyone who is interested in his services, in his food, will receive like a notification on top of everything what they are currently doing, like phone or
So
screen.
they'll be like, food has arrived.
Yeah, food has arrived, like something like this. So this kind of initiatives, I would say.
Have you thought about
Uh,
or considered doing something like a team building activity?
Within my team, yeah, I've done it a lot. As I once said, I'm running a remote team, and this unstructured time is a part of our weekly meetings and activities. Today we have planned a High Five Friday.
Mm. High Five Friday. I remember you told me about that before.
Yeah, and today meeting will be about productivity.
Mm-hmm.
We will be sharing some tips, sharing some best pieces of advice that we have ever been given, recommending some books that could lead us to become a better team or a better person. So everyone has like a short list of items
Mm-hmm.
to be prepared, and yeah.
I'm curious though, what kind of team building activities does your team like makes them the happiest? What kind of team building activities makes your team the happiest?
I would say any, really. I mean, most of the guys.
Okay, if
This is
if
the
you were to say one of them, one of the activities that you've done.
I've got it. Hmm. The funny one we had last week was the two truths, one lie.
I
But
see.
this is not something uncommon. I mean, the best one so far, I think, was the personal stories, like the three question that like everybody recommends, taken from the Patrick Lencioni book, The Five Dysfunction of the Team, which is where you grew up, how many siblings you have, and the biggest challenge during the childhood.
So just kind of more like questions about understanding and getting to know each other better, right?
Yeah, but those are like you may think it's a simple question, but it's a lot of information behind it. For
Yeah.
example, if you said that you have many siblings, it means that you are used to conflict.
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
Yeah, and you know how to cope with that. And for example, if you are like well, how do you say that? Like no brothers, no sisters,
A single child.
single child. Yeah, that would may indicate that you are not very familiar with conflict and stressful situation, and it's usually like this. It really works.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, let me check what we
But
have
do you ever
planned
do things
for.
like outside of the office together as a team? Like, do you ever go
Now,
to?
now we I have a remote team, man. We have
Oh,
like several locations, so this is
I
very
forget
hard
about
to
that. Yeah.
organize something like this.
Yeah. So
Uh,
you're limited to these kind of things. I see. Okay.
yeah, right. The rule is that we have a get together twice a year, non-related to any work or project activity. That we can meet for like 1 week for team building, and it's those weeks are usually some time of that week is spent with external coaches, like for example the Gallup one. We are working on our strengths or our weaknesses. This is like facilitated session of team building, but the other part of that week is mostly having a beer, having something nice to eat, just spending time together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's essentially what it comes down to, right?
Yeah, like playing street ball, or really it's also depends on the weather. Last time we were in Iceland, and it was like 1 meter of snow outside. So basically we rented the ski tours,
Uh-huh. You
the
rented a ski
ski.
tour?
Yeah, and we just take a long, it was supposed to be a run, but it was a walk using the ski tours. Yeah.
Oh, scooters.
No,
Scooters?
I mean the skis that you no the ski. It's one form, right?
Okay, yeah, ski.
The ski that you do not ride on, but you like walk or run with them,
Like
like
cross-country
biat.
skis?
Yeah, exactly, like biathlon.
Cross-country skiing?
Yes. Okay, cross country skiing. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of push yourself.
Okay. I always thought it's called ski tour. So we did something like this. We spent like half of day in some nice outside background, and that was
Mm-hmm.
very nice.
That's really cool. That's a good thing that you do that with your team. You're a good team leader for that. I wish when I was working at a I guess when I was working in the office, I wish my manager would do things like that. But we never did. And I think it really negatively impacted the productivity of the team because we weren't like
Hmm.
close to each other and stuff. All right. Let's go to that third question.
What scares you most about speaking in public? I would say the imposter syndrome.
What do you mean by
It,
that?
it's something that is killing me. Uh,
Like you feel like you're not good enough for some reason?
yeah, and I got the impression that on the other side, on the audience side, there will be people that has more knowledge, more experience on the topic that I will be speaking about. And I know it's not true, but I'm always afraid that there will be like a group of people, or even a single person that could challenge me in a very like combative way.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I'm trying to cope with that, but it's very often it happens to me very often that I feel like what the fuck I'm doing on that stage. Yeah, those like 200 people possibly knows a lot more better than me in that topic, and I'm just trying to
Yeah.
shine here. Yeah, but I know it's not like this. Most of the people that take part in those conferences or like meetings are coming to learn something new,
Exactly.
and it doesn't even matter whether it's like 5, 10, or 15% of new things. It's also a lot about networking and spending time outside the office for company's money, for company's dime.
Yeah, that's the best part, right? Then you get paid
Yeah.
to do so. Have you heard of a TED Talk called "Fake It Till You Make It" by Amy Cuddy?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
agree? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, given what I said.
Yeah, I think it would help with what you were talking about.
Yeah.
The only thing you have to kind of figure out is if somebody does ask you a question, you gotta, and if you don't know how to answer it properly, you have to know how to respond so that you don't sound stupid or
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
can come back to you in the next pause or in the next break. I will describe it in the details in the next break, something like this. Yeah.
Yeah, or you can say, yeah, well, how about we chat after the presentation and we'll talk about it
Yeah.
more or something like that. There's all sorts of
Let's
techniques.
take a coffee later.
Let's have a coffee.
Let's have a coffee.
All right, so let's move on to some vocabulary. The first word is pronounced gauge.
Gauge. Gauge. Estimate or determine the amount, level of volume or volume of. So
Good.
like measure.
Exactly.
Gauge. Intent. Have a course of action as one purpose or intention. Trembling, shaking, or quivering, typically as a result of anxiety, excitement, or frailty.
Good. Frailty, yeah.
Pounding, rhythmical beating, or throbbing.
Good. Any questions on this side?
Yeah, and shaking and quivering. What's the difference?
They're both synonyms for trembling. So
Okay.
so for example, if you go up on stage and your hands are shaking because you're nervous, you can say that they're trembling or they're quivering, right? They're all synonyms.
Is there any like level of intensity, or
They have different types of connotations, like shaking is like maybe something you do to a bottle to like shake it up.
shake the bottle? Yeah.
Yeah, quivering
shake
is something
the
that
drink.
happens very, very little, you know, quivering is like a little bit. Trembling, same thing. It's very similar to quivering.
Okay.
And we'll put it more in context when we do some of the fill in the blanks later.
And the same one for the last pounding,
Frailty?
beating, and throbbing.
Throbbing. So pounding, like imagine someone hitting a drum, you know, boom, boom, boom. They're pounding the drum, right?
Yeah.
On a rhythm. They're beating the drum on a rhythm. And throbbing is a synonym for that.
Okay. And frailty, yeah, I missed that. It's
Yeah.
from fragile? No.
Exactly. So fragile. So like,
It's not fragility?
kind of, yeah, fragility. Like if you don't eat enough vitamin C, which one is that that has strong bones? Vitamin calcium. Then you're gonna have frail bones. Or
Okay.
old people have frail bones, right? So
All right.
that's kind of what it
Okay.
means. Alright, so now let's match some words with their definitions.
Okay. Remain in the same place. Stay?
Yeah.
Okay. To obtain or get. Grab.
Yep.
Exercise skill is to craft, estimate or determine its gauge, and the last one, feel intense dislike or disgust for its loaf. I always thought that loaf means like strong hate.
It is. So it's like you dislike it a lot. You like hate.
Okay.
You hate it. That's another synonym.
Okay.
Because it says intense dislike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like you said. So, alright, some fill in the blanks.
All people feel some psychological reaction like
Not psychological, physiological.
physiological reactions like uh, hurts, so probably pounding hurts.
Good.
The heart is pounding and trembling hands.
Yeah, good.
Before you begin to your message to stay, craft, maybe craft, like create your message.
Yeah, yeah.
Consider who the message is intended for. So yeah, craft.
Good.
Make sure to the audience attention in the first, probably to grab the attention, right? Yeah, yeah. There's grab. Keep the focus on the audience. Stay the reaction. Gauge the reactions, adjust your message, and stay flexible.
Yeah, yeah. Good.
Okay.
Any questions on this?
No.
Perfect. So now we're gonna make some sentences.
Let me grab the coffee before our lesson.
Let me grab the coffee before
our lesson starts.
Okay. The only thing that I might change is if we were talking about the coffee before you say this, it might make more sense. In this case, it might be better if you put a coffee. Because you're not referring to a specific coffee, right?
Okay.
Or did you want to refer to a specific, like, oh, I left my coffee cup in the other room. Let me grab the coffee. Right? Technically, it's not wrong, but
Okay.
I just wanted
I
to point that
know,
out.
but last weekend I spent like a couple of hours working on the articles, and it's like.
Well, in this case, that's not wrong. I just wanted to point that out, right? So
Yeah, but
don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, but I need to comprehend the difference here. Let me grab a coffee. So the coffee is not specified. I just need to stand up, go to the kitchen, and make any coffee.
Yeah, in that case, a coffee is the correct article.
Yeah, but let me grab a coffee. So it's probably the coffee has been already done, and it's I just left it, and it's in the kitchen waiting for me.
Yeah, so that would be the coffee.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you're referring to that specific cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee. Yeah.
All right, next one, craft.
Craft. Iron forgery is a forgotten craft.
Good. Iron forgery is a forgotten craft. Like that, right?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. No mistakes there.
Either you stay in shape today or you will be staying at the doctor's office in the future.
Doctor's office in the future.
I'm not sure if the staying is the right form here. Like spending time, probably.
Either you stay in shape today or you will be staying at the doctor's office in the future. No, that's actually fine.
Okay.
That's good. Next one is intend.
This is a verb, right?
Yeah.
With okay, with teeth. No, okay. Intend.
Where is it? Let's double check. Intend. Yeah, it's verb.
Yeah. intend to visit the orthodontist today.
Good. No mistakes there. Last one, gauge.
Gauge. It's very difficult to gauge the happiness level in the office.
Is that actually true?
For me, it is. I'm a freshman, I would say, in that matter. Yeah, because we are missing the role of chief happiness officer.
Chief
And,
happiness officer.
Yeah, it's CHRO. This is the real role. It is, and it's becoming much more popular these days. It's like the person who's taking care of the happiness of people. And until we find one, the role is on me. So, and I really, it's one of the point out of my comfort zone.
You know what? Yeah, the last company I worked at probably needed someone exactly like that.
Okay.
Because everyone at the office was not happy. Alright, so let's do some quick matching before we move on to the next one.
Whoa. So loaf, despise.
Good.
I would say gauge and calibrate.
Yep.
Compose. Maybe craft.
Good.
Clutch is a part in a car, I know.
That's not what we're talking about. In this case, it's a verb.
So probably grab.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
It's a synonym for grab. So.
Okay. But it's okay. And reprieve, it's stay.
Yeah. So reprieve, like it's like, I think a better suited word might be break, like to take a break, right?
Okay.
But people can say that have a stay, like take a break. Okay. So now I want you to make sentences using those synonyms.
Compose. What was compose? Can you scroll up?
Yeah, so compose, the synonym for compose was craft.
Doesn't make sense.
Well, think about how you use the word craft. Remember, you just made sentences using these words.
Craft is also a verb, right?
Yeah.
Can you scroll up one more time? It's too confusing. I mean, compose for me means something completely different than craft.
If you
and I've never used craft as a verb. It was always a noun. So when compose is like consists of, like it's composed of something, right?
In that case, it's not a verb, but I want you to try to use it as a verb. For example, let me give you an example. I recently composed a beautiful melody about
Okay, so it's more
in the
like
future.
you have created.
Exactly.
And does craft mean to create?
It does, yeah. Craft has multiple
Okay.
meanings. That's why I didn't say you were wrong before, but to craft something is to create, to make.
Okay. Mhm. So to compose. We have just composed a carbon footprint module in our application.
We have just composed. You're just missing an article here.
Carbon footprint.
Yeah, perfect. Good. Next one, calibrate.
In order to use adjustable standing desk, you need to calibrate that first.
In order to use adjustable standing desk, you need to what?
Calibrate that first.
Calibrate them.
Them or it first. Yeah, them. If you have desks, it's them. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Them first, because there's more than one.
Yeah.
Good. Can you read that one back to me?
In order to use adjustable standing desks, you need to calibrate them first.
Good.
I despise people who are always late.
Yep. I also agree. Moving on, clutch.
I clutched the door handle and it was cold.
Good. Last one, reprieve. So I know the synonym was stay, but think about it more like as a break, something you can take or something you can have.
Man, something I can break, something I can take, something I can have. So it's like 3 different words.
Yeah, you can have a break. You can take a break, right? And if you were to replace the word break with reprieve, it's like you take a reprieve. You have a reprieve.
So it's like take a rest.
Yeah.
So as a reprieve, I usually spend some time in the forest on the weekends.
Good. That's actually perfect use of the word. So we're gonna skip this part, but we'll come back to it if we still have time, because there's a few other activities I want to get to. How did you feel about this synonym activity? It's a little different than what we've done so far.
Yeah, but that was okay. Yeah, I will need to have those words included in my Super Memo app just to try to remember them.
Yeah. The idea with that activity was for you to use the original words, making sentences out of those, associate them with their synonym, and then make new sentences out of just the synonyms. So that you can make a connection with something you already know before. Okay. Want to read that first question?
What do you think when you hear the word presentation? Yeah, the first thing that comes to my mind is PowerPoint.
Mm-hmm.
It's a deck of slides containing some content, some information. But this is the first impression, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I know it's not only about the PowerPoint on the wall, on the display, right?
Yeah.
On the screen. It's a little bit more. It's also like the delivery of that presentation, the I would say the display, the presentation, the how those things connect with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's much more than a file.
Yeah.
Uh, but the first impression is always a PowerPoint.
That's a pretty common response that I've gotten from this question.
And that's the same in Polish. It's prezentacja, and basically the first thing that comes to your mind is PowerPoint as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, it makes sense. Kind of intuitive. Okay.
yeah,
Let's go to that second question.
how would you prepare for speaking in public? Yeah, I have a process for that defined, which requires some planning. Usually, the first step is to identify what kind of information I would like to present. What is the target of my presentation? Not what is the goal of my presentation?
Mm-hmm.
What you, as a part of the audience, will get from it. So basically, this is the first step, just to identify what would be audience goal on that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
How can you prepare for it, like, I don't know, mentally? Or maybe what should you bring to, I guess if you're going to speak in public, what should you have with you?
like the tools, the bottle of water.
Yeah.
It's not so common, and you cannot take it for granted, really.
Yeah, like I have water
Uh,
now, so
yeah, me too.
water, okay.
I
What
would
about
say the
mentally?
mentally. Mm, mentally. What do you mean mentally?
Like, is there any way you can prepare for public speaking mentally?
Yeah.
I recently gave a workshop and some of the girls, well, some of the participants said that they psych themselves out. They get freaked out before the presentation over nothing. So maybe there's something you can do
uh,
to prepare yourself for it mentally and that so that doesn't happen to
yeah.
you.
Yeah. It depends on the person, really. I usually try to calm myself down, to meditate a little bit, to have some like reflection of the whole preparation process, and just to assure myself that I'm fully prepared for that. Take a couple of long breaths,
Breaths?
but but I know some people are trying to hype themselves,
Yeah.
hype up. Like, for example, watching the Tony Robbins presentation, he's jumping on this small trampoline
That's just
uh,
ridiculous. I think that's stupid.
just a couple of seconds before entering the stage. But it works for him, yeah.
I know it works, but
And
that's because his whole presentation is all about hype. He walks on stage and there's like sounds and lights and
yeah, it's more like motivational speech than. No,
exactly.
I wouldn't say it's all about motivation, because he's giving a lot of content, useful content.
Yeah, but there's a lot of
Uh,
hype. I think there's too much hype. But
it is, but this is mostly for US market, and people like it, really like it there.
do you think the US people are more susceptible to hype?
I would say so, yeah.
Europeans are not?
I would say there is really much more motivational speakers from US than from any other part of the world.
And why do you think they need that? Why do you think it's become more popular there than anywhere else? Anywhere else?
Uh,
Obviously, there's a demand for it. Why is there demand?
Why is there demand? Hmm.
Because if there wasn't a demand for it, there wouldn't be a supply, right?
Exactly. I'm
I'm
not.
super curious about this too because I noticed the same thing.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's the easiness to manipulate people there.
I agree. I think people are easier to manipulate there.
Yeah, I would say because uh, you know I'm not like an expert in that area, but if most of the people in Europe think of US, it's mostly like New York, Chicago, or Los Angeles. Basically, that's it. But we forget entirely about the whole middle part and like the 80% of the rest.
Yeah.
I mean the rednecks, the people from the like mountains area, the North America, and yeah, I've met a couple of Americans in my life, and yeah, I've heard a lot of stories that we it's the same as considering Poland in terms of Warsaw only, but the real Poland starts like 20 kilometers outside of Warsaw, and
Yeah.
this is true. This is true. If you like consider politics or like social economics or like people, you need to think outside of those uh, big cities frames, really. And yeah, as you said, people are more easy to manipulate.
They're easier to manipulate.
Easier, yeah. Uh, hmm. I
Well,
don't know why they are like more susceptible, as you said. You remember the Wolf of the Wall Street guy,
yeah, Wolf of Wall Street.
the Victor Belfort was my no
Jordan Belfort.
Jordan Belfort, yeah. So why it happened in US, not in any other part of the world?
There could be a lot of reasons, but I think you're right about how they're easier to manipulate. And I think that's because of the system, the social structure, and the educational system, and the way people are raised in the U.S.
And
are,
the other reason might be that the US is a little bit of ahead of Europe in terms of those mm, this business industry, I would say, because the motivational speeches and like conferences are popular in Poland since for last like 5 or 6 years.
hmm I think that's also because after a while, when a country becomes really successful and people find themselves with too many resources, they're not struggling like they used to be, right?
Mhm.
So when they're no longer struggling, they don't have a problem that they have to overcome. Like there's no easy solution for their human, like what the purpose of life is. Before,
Yeah,
like it was easy, just survive. Now that they're past that, they have to figure out like what's the purpose of life, and they get demotivated because they don't find it. So maybe the reason why there's more motivational speakers and that sort of stuff in the US is because most of the people there have gone past the just surviving phase and are more into like the growth phase of the Maslow's hierarchy. We've done that lesson
yeah,
before, right?
yeah. The American dream.
Yeah, the American dream, which is BS. It's fake.
In most of the cases, it is, but there are some units, individuals who made it.
hmm There are some, but there's bigger issues that maybe the American dream is just personifies hype. That's why hype is so big there.
Maybe, yeah.
All right, let's go to that last question.
Which is more important, content or delivery? Uh, hmm. I would say it depends, but if I don't want to use that, I would be more partial towards delivery
Yeah, I agree.
because I've been on conferences, meeting, presentation, then the entire content was either known by me
hmm
or was like total bullshit for me, or I didn't really believe in that, or but the delivery part was so interesting, so like mystifying, and making me really easily following that making me very easily to follow that,
Mm-hmm.
that I spend the entire presentation like listening to someone,
Mm-hmm.
uh, with with eyes wide open. And basically, there was nothing new for me, and I still didn't believe in that. But yeah,
At
my
least
attention
you're
was,
paying attention though, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
If we consider those motivational speakers, yeah, the delivery part is 95%, I would say.
I agree.
Uh,
Most of the stuff that they say is not new. It's just like a reminder for the people to not lose hope, I guess.
exactly, yeah. And the content would be more important in those mm, very specific, limited domains, like close-knit communities. For example, if you consider like agile project management, you are going for a conference that would only topics regarding agile project management. So uh, in that case, I would expect more useful content for me, more new information than some extraordinary delivery way
Mm-hmm.
of those presentations. Yeah, but if I have ever a chance to go for like Tony Robbins show, yeah, the delivery is.
Yeah, you're gonna leave
Mm,
the presentation, you're gonna be super hyped. But that's what people want,
exactly.
right? They just want to get hyped.
Yeah, it's based on your expectation, really.
Hey Chris, so we're just gonna finish up this lesson and then we'll hop in our lesson, alright?
Yeah.
Um, cool, Adam. So it looks like my next student is ready for for their lesson.
Okay.
Do you have any
No
last
worries.
questions before we part ways?
No, have a nice weekend, just
Okay.
and take care.
All right, Adam. Well, thank you for the great lesson. I actually really enjoyed the discussion. I think you are one of the students that are able to like communicate your ideas very well, considering your level of English and everything. So, like, good job on that. Like, I really do want to tell you that like our lessons are usually very conversational, and I like it because even I learn something new from you, and I can tell that you enjoy talking about this sort of stuff too. So, good job
Yeah,
on that.
yeah, really appreciate it. I will try to schedule something during the weekend for the next week.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, Adam. Well, have a great weekend, all right?
Yeah, you too. Bye.
All right, bye bye.